Hello again and welcome back to Jarl's Favour Dev Log. It's been a while, a fair bit's been going on, but I have put a bit of effort into the development regardless over the past month, and I'll just take you through it. There's a bit to catch up on, and I might start with the landscape material. As you can see here, we've got snow gradually forming into the grass or mulch terrain. We've got our rocks that are developed in the conceptual build, and we have a few other bits of the terrain material as well. So it's all auto. It's an auto material but with paint layers. So let me show you some of the paint layers. So there's rock here, which will be stream and riverbed. There's a mega texture that I've just adjusted the color and added some specularity to make it look wet and reduce roughness. And then on that texture I have a paintable caustic material. It can be painted over any of the landscape to give it this caustic. So I'm not sure if this is the way I'm going to go for that underwater look after I put a water plane above it. I might want to project the caustic so that way it's not only on the landscape material but also shows on rocks or anything else beneath the water. I'm not sure of the cost of that, frame rate wise. Never tried it before, but it will be an option, I think. And regardless, I do have this to kick the underwater scenes off with anyway. So these rocks and this caustic material is part of the landscape auto material or landscape paintable material. It doesn't auto. The snow is definitely auto, as well as the rocks here, which are the same as the rocks here, just based on angles and heights. Took me far longer than it probably should have to figure out this snow. There'll be one more layer of auto material that will hide below the water, so I don't have to worry about manually painting any of this. So I've got to come up with that one next. So let's go have a look at the snow. Speed up the camera a little. Head on over. As you can see, I've figured out where I want the snow line to be. Made a reasonably gradual transition. It'll look better once there's forests and trees breaking it all up a little bit. I did have originally a larger transition, but when walking through it, the material just began to look a little bit weird earlier on, so I wanted to minimize that because all of this will be walked. And because the landscape had snow built into it, so I used Gaea and I used a snow node to build parts of the landscape. That does a lot of the work for you in making the snow look that bit more realistic. The patchiness here is a final compromise I settled on. It looks okay further away. I'm not fully happy with it close up, but again, once I've got weather and procedural foliage and rocks and things, I think it'll look a little bit better. It'll be acceptable. Yeah, it did take a while to figure out how to get this snow working, but I'm glad I got there. Here is a complete snowfield. Let's have a quick little walk around in it. I don't have footsteps or anything. I might figure out some deformation so you have deep footsteps. But also I do have ultra dynamic sky, which has that inbuilt already, and I'm thinking I might just have a permanent ultra dynamic sky / weather layer of snow on here, and see how that sort of disrupts the landscape or the foliage. I think it'll be alright. It should be fine. I like the look of it. It looks cool. As you can see here, there's some some grass foliage popping up. Reason for that is this was all originally the mulch grass material until I figured out the auto material side of things, and then the part here where there is no foliage I just went through with a brush and removed the foliage. So let's look at the material itself. So if we go in, this is a instance I've got for some settings. We'll go to the parent, and done a bit of work. There's still more work to be done to it. I have to add the weather effects, being snow, rain, wetness, and so on, from both a MPC material parameter collection for the Nordic conifer biome that all the trees exist in, and also the ultra dynamic weather, but that'll come next. So in here I've got my snow function. This defines the patchiness and the angle. So I don't want it on all the steep angles. I want some rock to show through. I could change that. I could have this completely covered in snow. Still looks pretty good, but I want some breakup like this. And there's a whole lot of blending going on. So I've also got the mountain snow here, which is a paint layer, so I can manually paint the snow on where I want to, and I will be doing some of that. This is the height. So in between these two ranges are where the snow forms. And that's how we get it on the top of mountains and not below. There's this little height function here. Then that all goes into one. So landscape layer blend, these are the layers I use for painting. They're not necessarily the auto layers. The auto layers exist over here in the blending. The rock cliff is, I think we looked at that a while ago in the conceptual build, and that's just this particular rock that shows up on pretty much exactly the angle that the player character cannot walk on. Same material, I'm happy with that. I have played a little bit with the roughness and the way it looks at distance, so I think it's looking better when you get further away. As you can see there, it's sort of blending or fading into a different zoom level, essentially, when you move away. So I'll be keeping that. I've got a path layer, riverbed. I haven't automated this yet. That is that paintable layer that was over somewhere, all the way over here near our beginning village. Yeah, that's either riverbed or that might be stream bed actually. So riverbed is going to be the automatic layer underneath here that'll have some seaweed foliage, procedural foliage on it. Save me having to paint all of that, do that sort of work. And then we go up here into the procedural foliage bit. I haven't added to this yet. I need to for the snow and the cliffs and the stream bed and basically everything. I need to add a whole lot more procedural foliage in there. And then we sort of break out here. I've got a couple tint layers where I can adjust or paint on to darken or lighten the layers if I need to. I've found adding tint to my materials is really powerful. If we have a look over here, so this rock is tinted, and then this material on these meshes I've tinted to match this rock. It was actually quite different, but adding these tints functions helps a lot to make everything look like it belongs. As we can see, that blends fairly well, because for cliffs I want actual meshes standing out, but there will be of course times when we're going to see the normal rock, or the normal rock will poke through, and I don't really want it to jump out and be glaringly obvious. So I put tints in where I can, and then over here we have the caustic layer which can be painted on. I didn't come up with that myself. I took that from some other material, landscape material that I had, and then it comes back into the actual landscape. So we're doing pretty well. The snow function, which was this bit here, that did take me a long time to figure out. Again, I'm still learning Unreal, but I'm quite pleased with the results. It looks good, I think. So looking at the landscape that's been painted, I may as well talk a bit about some changes that have been going on. Speed up the camera again. Come on. Looking at the landscape, over here was all terrain. So what I've done, I've carved out this fjord essentially, and this section, as you can see, is all snow, so it's all above the snow line, and this section is going to be ice. It's going to be like icebergs and a bit of a glacier coming down, and this will be the frigid, very deadly area. It'll be less populated, less work for me to do. Procedural foliage will do most of the work here. There won't be a lot to explore except for some caves and things, but it'll be worth exploring because it'll be high value rewards when you go that way. That's most of what I've done change-wise to the landscape. I think I may have painted a bunch more lakes in and just tidied up some rivers and put paths down. You can see the paths I drew originally, but then I've put caves around. Where would some of the caves be? Like over here. So built pathways on cliff faces that then lead to what will be caves. Go in this cave, come out there, etc., etc. Make things interesting and make the player want to explore. And then I've, as just a little test, proof of concept again, I've begun populating the terrain with stones and rocks. And I'm keeping it as few meshes as possible. So what we see here are just 3 or 4 meshes, just repeated and re-angled so they don't look too similar. They don't repeat in an obvious fashion. Let's take a walk up the lake here, or the stream, as it gives you a better idea. So I've just manually placed. I think I will manually place most things around rivers and streams and the coastline, and procedurally populate the internal sections like forests essentially. Just a lot more control, make things look better when manually placing things. These textures are a little dark. That's an ambient occlusion thing I've been playing with. I need to liven them up a little. These are Megascan cliffs, so there's a gentle change from the top of the lake where it's quite wet, or the top of the stream where it's quite wet, downward where it gets a little drier. So but again, I'm only using 4 different meshes for the top of the streams near the lakes for the more mossy area. Then just got a temporary water layer on here on the lake. Over here I have some Megascan cliffs using 4K textures at the moment. Added collision to them. I think they look good. I think it looks pretty good in this area. I don't mind this water material either, so I might use it if I can add a interactive shader, a ripple shader to it, or some sort of effect. I haven't done that before, I need to learn about it. Underneath, not worrying too much. If you can swim in this game, which I do plan on that being a thing, it'll be pretty murky here, so I'm not worried about making underneath the water look too good. And again, it's just some more Nordic coastal cliff Megascan meshes, which will be my lakeside cliffs as opposed to my seaside cliffs, which we'll have a quick look at as well. So the seaside cliffs are over here. They're Megascan meshes that I've played with a little bit. So they're sandstone cliffs, as we can see here, and I've just replaced the material and messed with the material a little bit. Grabbed a coastal cliff material, I believe. I've added just some scaling, so it's scaled up 4 times to make it obviously smaller and seem like it's a larger object. Drop the specularity. Here's my tinting, where I've gotten it to match the tint here. I like this. I think I'll put this on most textures just to, yeah, again, add some uniformity to the entire landscape. It's pretty handy what you can do with it. So I've begun what's going to be a slow process. It'll get faster because a lot of it has been deciding what meshes to actually use. And I settled on these sandstone cliffs. Obviously not the shape of them. It's not too important. I think I'm not trying to go for ultra realism and go, well, would this shaped cliff actually exist on a fjord river? Probably not. Or maybe. It doesn't matter. As long as it looks good enough and is playable enough as well. That meaning I like having these ledges that the player can jump down on and not, so if they fall, they give themselves a little bit of a second chance here and there that they won't immediately die. Underneath the ocean, so I'm beginning to build layers for two purposes. So we've got cliffs, home village, there'll be a lot more, or a few more. If I turn the ocean off, you can see underneath it. These layers also will for me to load and unload. So if you go inside a cave, all of these do not need to be processed because you can't see them. So the game will unload anything that's not inside that cave. There's going to be a lot loaded in the main overland landscape. But once you get over these peaks of these mountains and dip a little bit, I'll unload all of this. And vice versa. So what's on the other side of these mountains will be unloaded while you're on this side. So I'm planning ahead for some optimization in that regard. Hopefully it'll be enough. We'll find out. It's running just fine at the moment, but I haven't populated all the procedural foliage. These paint layers were just a demo test. I will reset all the paint layers and stuff from scratch once I've built and completed the auto layer. So that means once I've found what sort of material I'm going to use underneath the ocean and what caustics I'm going to use for the water shimmer or underneath the water. So, oh yeah, again, all these rocks have been manually placed. I think they're looking pretty good. And as you can see, there's going to be a lot of it to be done, but I will get faster at it. A lot of these placement has also been deciding on what assets to use. I've bedded that down now for the river and stream cliffs, and then the ocean cliffs. I've figured that out now, and there might be a little bit more like over here in this marshland. But for the most part, I'm ready to really dig in and populate the landscape. What else is there's been just so much done just in small increments. Populated all these standing stones. These will be fast travel points. So there's some over here. You can barely see them. They'll be yeah, all over the place. I'm not sure. I put some back here in this frozen wasteland area. And I don't think I will. I want that to be kind of end game area. I do have one here which we saw earlier. I do have ultra dynamic sky enabled. I haven't, and weather, but I haven't built that into the landscape material either, so we can just change the weather, make it a little bit of rain, and it gets suitably gloomy. I think it's going to be a decent looking game. I'm liking the way it looks at the moment, but I am biased. That's pretty much it then. Just a whole lot of material work has been done. Every material that so far that's on an asset, I've been adjusting slightly again just to make sure they all fit together. Not sure what's going on here. It's probably the landscape bugging out. Let's play and have a look. Interesting. Is that a fog thing? Or it could just be an Unreal glitch. Who knows? We'll find out. This rain is quite loud. Okay. I suspect this will probably fix itself up if I go into landscape, paint something really quick. No, alright. I'll keep an eye on that. Let's see if this is something I've messed up on the landscape with, again, with those adjustments I've talked about, where I've been adjusting each material, adding a bit of tint and making it all sort of fit. So there we go. I've been forging ahead just on the world. Not much gameplay occurring at the moment. So my plan is to essentially populate this area, which will be the starter area, and make that my demo area where the gameplay will begin. And if I'm happy with the way things work out, then I'll go and finish off the rest of the landscape. That is going to be, I reckon, about a year's worth of work, but it should be fun. It's been good so far. Alright, that's Jarl's Favour for now.